Hello, everyone. Roxanne Langley here, your financial coach, with the next series of my videos. Had a lot of questions come in the last couple of months pertaining to saving an emergency fund. How much, how to go about it, what happens if the emergency is larger, just several questions. So this is hopefully some help. So I am a financial coach, and you can contact me. This is my Instagram post, Roxanne Financial Coach. My telephone number, feel free to text me questions, email me. So whatever questions that you may have regarding becoming debt-free, saving for your emergency fund, saving for retirement, any questions you can think of to ask this coach, ask away. So the importance of an emergency fund, no matter how hard we try, emergencies hit us out of nowhere. If you don't have a buffer of cash between you and those little unexpected surprises, things get tricky really quick. That's where an emergency fund really comes to the rescue. I like to call it my financial safety net for when things go in directions that I didn't see coming, or I wish it hadn't happened that way. It's the emergency fund is designed to bring a sense of peace to you, so that when the unexpected happens, you don't have to panic. I'm not saying you won't be upset, but you don't have to panic all of a sudden. No matter what happens, you can be prepared financially for it. So here's what to do for those times that your emergency fund also isn't large enough to cover the emergency. It's sometimes we're never quite sure what's going to happen, isn't it? So first of all, let's define what is an emergency. A true emergency is an unexpected, necessary, an urgent situation that needs to be taken care of immediately. It wasn't something you expected. It wasn't something that you had planned on. It's, an automobile wreck. It's breaking a tooth on a fortune cookie. Yeah, that was me. It's the water heater exploding at the house. It's a medical emergency. It's a sudden job layoff, or maybe reduction in hours. It's things that we didn't see coming, we weren't planning on. Now, what an emergency is not are new tires for the car or braces for the kids' teeth. Those are large expenses, but those are expenses that typically those are coming. So you plan for them, you plan ahead, and you save up cash. You add a line item to your budget each month, and you put into another savings account $100 a month or $200 a month, and you save that up because this year I'm going to have to get tires for the car, or the kids need braces, or she turns 16 this month, something big. So that's where you save for the large expenses. So what we're going to talk about is just your true emergency. So how much should your emergency fund be? Now, hopefully at this point, you're debt-free. Once you've gotten rid of all your debt, then it's you can save up your emergency fund really fast. You know, the money that you were spending each month on minimum payments to the creditors now can go into your savings account. I do suggest a high yield savings account for your emergency fund. Don't put it in mutual funds or a money market. You know, you want to be able to get to it within 24, 48 hours. So that's, you know, you're not going to earn a lot of interest on it, but it's designed so that you can get to it if you need to. Now, I will tell you a little trick that I do. My emergency fund is not at my bank where my checking account is. I actually have it on an online, it's actually with Discover Bank Online. You know, it's I think right now it is earning about a little over 1% interest. It's not a lot of interest. I can get to it immediately if I need it, but it's not at the bank with my checking account so that I can get to it too easily. So you want it to be easy to get to, but you don't want it to be too easy. You know, just move the temptation aside. Now, the figures that I have listed here, they're estimates. Your emergency fund, your monthly expenses for a single person will be different from, say, a family of 4, will be different from a retired couple or a single parent. You know, they will all be different. As a financial coach, this is an area where I can look at your expenses and help you determine what are my bare bones monthly expenses and how much should I save. So in this example, you know, your rent or your mortgage, you know, whatever your situation, shelter is, utilities, cell phone, insurance premiums, groceries for the month, auto fuel and maintenance, your annual bills, miscellaneous, that's going to be saving for those larger expenses, like new tires for the car. So if you say, okay, well, I need $2,500 a month for the basics. So you would want to have in your emergency fund for 3 months, which is a minimum, is $7,500. And that's a nice, you know, that's a nice get you through a couple of months if something should happen. I always recommend go for 6 months. Now, a 6-month emergency fund, in this case, having $15,000 in an account off to the side, that if and when you find yourself in a situation where life has turned upside down and inside out, you can take a breath and you can pause and sort of regroup and know that you have money to cover the next 5, 6, 7 months, you know, depending on how much you tighten it down. But this is a good rule of thumb. Look at your basics and come up with that figure and then times 6 months and then put that as a goal. You know, save that up. When I had my 6-month emergency fund, when I hit that number, my whole demeanor changed. You know, it was, things are going to happen, you know, like breaking the tooth on the fortune cookie. You know, things are going to happen to us or to our family members. And so I didn't panic. And it's, you almost just get to a point where, okay, it is what it is. I don't want to have to pull that money out of the emergency fund, but I'm so glad I have it to do that. So what do you do when the emergency is larger than what you have saved up? And that can happen as well. First thing is, if you have debt, this is your mortgage, your credit cards, car payments, student loans, anything on your debt. If you were in the process of making extra payments, stop. This is the best time to do one thing. Only make the minimum payment due for the time that, for the time in question that you're in this storm mode or in this emergency. You want to focus on covering your basics, as we looked at previously: your food, utilities, shelter, and transportation. Put your focus on the essentials. Instead of making those extra payments, take those dollars, and if you find that you have an extra, you paid all the expenses, and let's say that you have $100 left over, don't send it to one of the credit cards for an extra payment. Put it in a savings account. Just hold on to it, because you may need it next month. You don't know, but just make your minimum payments. Keep them up to date. Don't pay extra. Pay the minimum and pay on time. Keep the four walls paid and up to date. Number two, call and negotiate. For example, let's say a family member has to go to the hospital and you end up with a medical bill that your portion of it is more than what you have saved, or the fact that you don't want to pull your emergency fund down to zero. I get it. Call the folks in the billing department. Ask them a couple of things. Ask them about a cash discount. Sometimes they will settle for a smaller amount if you're paying cash. Just make sure you have the amount that they're proposing. The other option is ask them for their payment plan. Most medical locations, whether this is an urgent care clinic, whether it's the emergency room, whether it's the doctor's office, ask them what their payment plan is, so that you can cash flow it over the next several months. It never hurts to ask. The worst thing they can say is no, but 99% of the time they're going to say yes. So this is an area that you are persistent. Be patient. Be kind when you're talking to the person on the other side of that phone. If possible, make a payment, up front, really quick, to show them that you're serious about repaying it. You just can't pay it all at one time. They'll usually work with you. One thing on a payment plan, just be sure that you can make the payment that they're proposing. If they propose, okay, you can pay this out $200 a month, make sure that you can pay $200 a month, because if you can't, instead of saying yes and then calling them a month or two later and say, hey, I just can't do this, say, no, I'm sorry, I'm strapped, I'm in this situation, I can pay you $100 a month for right now, and maybe later, as things turn around, I can make a larger payment, but I can pay you $100 now. So just negotiate with them, work with them, but be honest with them. The last thing that you want to have happen is for something to go to collection. So just be upfront and honest with them and polite. And for the most part, they will work with you. You know, if by chance that you're dealing with a specific crisis, such as like the one that we're in right now with massive layoffs and the pandemic, or if there's any type of, you know, weather-related emergency that comes up, find out if there are any local nonprofits around that offer assistance with financial or physical help. You know, churches, the ministries, there's a lot of financial and product help that is available. So when this happens, you know, the other thing too is to shop around. Let's say your car is, it may not be totally on the fritz, but it's making a funny noise. Ask your friends for a reliable mechanic recommendation. You know, as much as I hate to say, don't take it to the dealership, but many times the dealerships are so much more expensive, and you can get deals, coupons, specials from a lot of the local repair shops around town. So just be sure that the mechanic you pick gives you a written quote before you agree to let them do any work. If their price is more than you can afford, ask for what the bare minimum repair that would get you back on the road safely, you know, how much that would cost. So just talk to them. They'll, you know, if they can help, they will, and they will walk you through this. If there is any way to make any extra money, garage sale time, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, clean out the garage, clean out the attic. Anytime you need to make some extra money fast, go that route. You know, there's Nextdoor. There's a marketplace on the Nextdoor app. I see quite a lot of things on there for sale. You know, look for ways to earn cash. You know, delivering groceries or takeout, driving for Uber or Lyft. You know, whatever you can do. When the emergency gets passed and you're back to work, or everybody's home from the hospital and everybody's fine, and you know, we've hit the emergency fund a little bit. So your next step will be to build that emergency fund back up again. You know, once the dust settles, the storm passes, you know, there's one thing that you can count on. Unfortunately, there'll be another one at some point. So when that happens, you'll be extremely grateful and thankful and happy that you built that emergency fund back up again. You know, it would be so nice to not have to worry about things going haywire, and the what ifs can happen. You know. But an emergency fund, as I've said, is that buffer between the hard times. You know, it gives you peace of mind. So, you know, there's always something's going to happen. So when you have a fully funded emergency fund in place, you are prepared instead of panicked. Having enough in savings lets you breathe and think through your options instead of panicking, getting into maybe a very deep hole financially. So you can weather a storm. You know, it is possible. It may not always be fun, but it is possible with your emergency fund in place. So remember, you know, you can take control of your money and feel prepared for whatever life throws your way. So I hope this has helped. If you have any questions whatsoever, contact me. This is my information here to the left. Get in contact, schedule a free 30-minute consultation for help with savings, working on that emergency fund. reducing your debt, taking control of your money and coming up with a spending plan for your situation. So I hope this has helped. I've enjoyed putting this little video together for you, and I hope to get more of them out to you. Thank you.